And right now, it's absolutely necessary because people are so disgusted. They're leaving both parties. They're getting out, and they're on their own, and they're upset, and the country is bankrupt. So to me, there's a fertile field out there for a message that I believe is deeply needed.
Dr. Paul, Matt Armstrong, the Wellston Catholic Science. Take the obvious question out of the way. Are you given thought about running for president?
No, I haven't really thought about that. I don't have any plans to do that. It's a long way off. I'm wondering about whether I'm going to have enough energy to go back to D.C. after those last 2 weeks that we had on medical care, and we go back on Tuesday. That's what I'm thinking about. I was delighted to be here today and participate in this motion.
Dr. Paul Michelle, right now with WGSO. I'm wondering about Senate Bill 3081 by Lieberman and McCain that allows for the detention of American citizens classified as belligerents. I don't know if there's a companion bill introduced in the House, and if so...
And what would be the consequence of that?
It's called the Enemy Belligerent Detention and Prosecution Act.
For putting people in indefinite detention?
Correct,
and
American citizens.
And
yeah.
also, and American citizens.
Also,
it means, I don't know if it's in that bill, but that same idea is to allow our government to assassinate American citizens.
Correct.
Totally outrageous. Horrible. And yet that is the mood that we're in. But that's been going on, not for 1.5 years. It's been going on for 10 years now in a general direction. So whether it's indefinite detention, no habeas corpus, whether it has to do with torture, or even targeting an American citizen for assassination with no charges made and no due process. But these are bad guys, they say. Yeah. And you know what the definition is? One person in the administration can determine that that individual is a threat. If that person is determined as a threat, then they can take him and put him on that list. The understanding I have now is there's 3 or 4 Americans. That's just a few, and I know they're really bad people. Well, someday they might make a mistake and put a very good person on that list like they do on those lists at the airport. Some very good people get listed, and then you get thrown in jail forever, and no court. It's a bad trend. That's the type of big government that not only conservative Republicans, liberal Democrats, and all should be very, very upset about. Instead of the two coming together.
You propose ending the bad. I'm sorry, inside Louisiana, you propose ending the bad. Let's say we end the bad, then what would happen?
Depends on how you do it. I mean, if you ended the Fed tomorrow, it would be very chaotic and probably no benefit to it. The Fed, though, might end itself by the destruction of money. If you have runaway inflation, Feds gain over. That's what happens when Zimbabwe has runaway inflation, Mexico, Central American Germany. It's been known. We're approaching that. Makes much money. But my proposal is to legalize competition with the Fed. And that is for you to have the constitutional right to use sound money, gold and silver currency. If you do that today, you'll be arrested, even though you will be on, you can be correct constitutionally, they will put you in jail for that. So my idea is to legalize that, get rid of the legal term. People who like the Fed like paper money fine. If others like deal with silver coin, they should be allowed to do it.
Mason, breakdown of America. At this point, who would you your support behind?
I don't have a choice. I mean, I picked one. I guess I have a lot of choices out there.
Nobody.
I haven't even had this stuff. That's like when they ask me about who would I appoint to the Supreme Court. I don't have a choice.
There was some heckling during your speech, and as a Huckabee supporter, it seems that you almost the entire first half of your speech. Do you have anything additional that you didn't say in the speech that you would say to Republicans who just don't seem to like you or your politics?
No, I've had that happen a few times. But one thing I noticed is I've been saying this same thing for years, and really since 1971. one when I recognized that we were going to destroy the economic system, and we are in the process of doing it. Nobody listened then. It was a lot better being noticed. They didn't think I was worth doing. Now they're worried that the status quo establishment, corporate, military-industrial complex is going to be challenged. And a few of them like but I heard more cheers. You know, politicians tend to not want to hear those. Well, I heard more cheers when I talked about the freedom philosophy, individual liberty and personal choices, bringing our troops home, sound money. This is what they really cheer, and this is what the campuses are cheering. So if one or two or three or four boo because they don't want to disrupt the status quo and they think they can change the world or change our party or change this country, I don't deal with that too much because I just think they're mistaken and I try to persuade them.
On another topic, do you have any predictions on how far your legislation will get in terms of
Well, I would think I could get as many Republicans on it as I got throughout at the Fed. I got every Republican. So I would think that I could give a mandate. Energetic and passive. You know, it doesn't just, you don't just throw it up and everybody comes and signs on it. You got to work the signatures, and we did that, you know, with yeah. And there'd be a lot of Democrats that might like to sign it. We had a lot of Democrats sign on the Fed bill because it was less partisan. This would be tougher for the Democrats. Even the ones that voted against the bill, I don't know, they might feel like they don't want to take on their leadership. Sometimes they do things like this.
Do you think the Republican leadership will back the bill, or did they have another?
Well, they might have a bigger bill, and I was trying to narrow it down and make it very simple. What I want to do is get rid of the mandate and preserve people's right to get out of the system, and not pretend that I can, you know, reverse the tide that's happening in Washington today. Either economics will reverse the tide because we can't afford it, just like I argue foreign policy will be reversed, not because they're going to all of a sudden listen to their speeches. It's going to be reversed because we're growth. So the medical thing, it'll be reversed because it won't function. You know, people have to get their medical care elsewhere.
Representative Paul, along the same lines, Medicare, medical care, which Congress is doing now to reform breaking down Medicare, Social Security,
You can't do anything without cutting spending. If you want to, I have a couple bills in sort of preserve Social Security. Matter of fact, I take Social Security income and I set it aside and advise in the portion of Treasury bills. You can't touch it. And nothing can be spent in general revenue. And your account will be assigned to you. You say, well, there's no money there, so it's a pretty tough job. You have to have big, big cuts. And I argue in my speech, like the only place this country will ever come around to cutting spending is those boondoggles overseas. It's the earmarks for billion-dollar embassies around the world and troops in Korea. I mean, we can save hundreds of billions of dollars doing this, and I am absolutely convinced that we will not be less safe, we'll be more safe.
Last question.
One more? There's one back there.
Yeah, Congressman, I've just been talking to some of your more younger supporters.
Name and outlet, please. Name and outlet.
Sorry, Justin Vogt, Newsman. And folks, some of the younger folks I was talking about here, they didn't necessarily seem particularly interested in the Republican Party per se. A lot of them didn't identify that way. And I'm just curious, in a sort of macro way, what do you tell those folks in your movement about how they should feel?
The point you make probably has validity to it. The question you should ask is why is the Republican Party not interested in them? That is what they should be doing. Because we can get crowds with this message around the college campuses. 1,000, 2,000 people will come out of time wanting to listen to this message, and they're open to it. And a lot of them will join the Republican Party. And they will, but a lot of them have been excluded and they have been uninvited. They don't want it. But the numbers are out there. I have to say, Chairman Steele today, I visited with him, and he indicated that he's open dialogue. We're going to let him know what we're doing. He understands that there's a large number of people out there. But